All right, so welcome everybody to what's become an annual event of talking about a bigger trip for New Hampshire. Um, so every year, gosh, for a while, since 2009, I've organized trips up to New Hampshire. Some of it was to satisfy my selfish pursuits. So as I was working on lists and whatnot, whatever I needed is where we went that year. So this year, nobody bullied me, but I decided that it'd be okay to go back to Mount Washington. That's usually the big one. That's usually the one that everybody says, yeah, I really want to do that, even though it's the biggest one in the Northeast. Um, a lot of times folks want to start with that, and that's okay. I did too. I hiked it in 2009 without having a clue. Didn't know what I didn't know and thought it was the worst day of my life.
Oh,
But I also didn't prepare to go, didn't know what I was doing. Went with some great people who were lovely, but it can be a bit shocking if you're not prepared to go do it. Okay, hang on. I got folks in the waiting room again that I got to try to get in here. Here we go. Um, I guess we're not this isn't happening lightning speed. Hold on. Okay, I think I got everybody. And of course, this is my own fault that I put everybody in a waiting room. Um, okay. And also, if at any point, if you have a question, it would probably be best to ask it in the chat as opposed to, um, just asking me something just out of randomness. Because most likely I will or I'll go over probably what your question is. I'm usually pretty good at anticipating what people want to know about this topic. All right, I can't fix that. Okay, so a lot of new folks on here or folks I haven't seen in a while. So I'll just introduce myself. So I'm Janice May. I have been a hike leader for about 15 years, and I lead for AMC. I just don't say AMC. I also lead for I run kind of like Hartford area hiking. Mute whoever that is. Um, do, do, um, and I've worked with AMC for that kind of stuff, Hartford area hiking. And then whatever Inception um, do Bill Rule is doing. So right now we are CT Sierra Club. Um, so I'm also a hike leader and a leadership trainer for him. Um, one thing that I always tell folks is that you may not be like interested in doing Washington for whatever reason. Maybe it's like you've been there,
William
you've done it,
Bill
and
touches
you
little
but
boys.
you're interested in the idea of um just going through the training because maybe you've got
Bill
something else
touches
going on.
little boys.
Um, Harry, can you do
I'm
me?
funny
I
over
keep
there.
trying to mute you,
Touches
and
little
can you
boy.
just mute yourself, please?
I'm telling you, he touches little.
I'm muting you again. Um, so
Why
some
did you
people
mute
will use the
me?
training for
Why did you mute
for something
me?
else. I've
That's
had
just
people who are
rude.
doing bigger
You
trips
didn't deserve to
and
mute
they
me. That's
were,
just
like,
rude.
this sounds like a really cool way
Just
to do
straight up
this.
rude from you.
I think you have to
Don't
boot
mute
Jay.
me. Don't boot me. I'm here for fun.
Maybe
Right,
everybody.
if you mute me one more time, you do not want to know what's going to happen to this meeting, especially Bill. I know what he did with them young ones.
Can you boot him?
Yep,
Don't boot me.
there we go. Um, so and it's actually kind of cool. You can I'm more than happy to welcome people, to come in just to train just because you want to do something. And that's totally fine. Also, sometimes they have people that come and join, but then they were like, "Ooh, this might be a little over my head." That's okay too. It's all about like figuring out your, what's going to be your best day up there. But one thing, if you are going to train with other hiking groups, um, whether it's AMC out of state or some of our local groups, I always tell people ask your hike leaders for their resume. Don't be afraid to ask for their resume. Um, because especially if you're going to do anything that could be considered challenging, a little contentious, um, because if they're not going to share what they know, what they do, then don't go with them. It's really that basic. The only thing you have to be a meetup hike leader is pay the bill. That's it. That's all you have to do. Um, Myself, most of the people that I lead with, we have wilderness first aid. We have a lot of training on other trails. We've done hiking lists. We've done a bunch of things that I'm always happy to share. I don't know everything about everything, but I'll share what I know, what my experiences have been. Um, so right now, we get a little list obsessed, and people that are interested in New Hampshire, your first thing is the 48. So there's 48 4,000-foot peaks in New Hampshire. So I've done those. That seemed like a lot of fun. So then I went and did the New England 67. So now you're into Vermont and Maine, um, doing those 4,000-foot peaks. And then while other people that I met circled back and went, "Ooh, I think I want to do the 48," I'm like, "What can I do?" So now I'm on to the New England 100. I'm on number 94. So I'll finish my sixth this summer, and that's all going to be main trips, for that. So I've spent a little bit of time out in the woods. A lot of the stuff in New Hampshire I've done more than once. Um, so from different trails. So again, like I said, and if people have really great personal experiences, please, moving forward, definitely share that information. Um, because like I said, I don't know everything. I read a lot of stuff. I read a lot of alt trails. I figure out a lot of things. But I certainly haven't stepped everywhere. So I admit that to begin with. So what I'm going to do is share with you my PowerPoint that I put together and kind of go through all of my stuff that I do. Okay. So right now, can everybody see that on their screen? Can you see it, Colleen? Okay. Um, so the hike is going to be Saturday, July 19th. And this year's assault is going to be up Tuckerman's Ravine, which means from Pinkham Notch. Okay. So a couple of things I'll just highlight for you. The picture on the left, this is your last point 0.5 from that side of the mountain. Once you get up past either Tuckerman's or Lion's Head, that's what it looks like. And that little bitty antenna up there is what your goal is. And for some reason, it never seems to get closer. I don't know what the deal is there. Um, Picture me in a red coat. Today I was up there in really, really bad weather, at Pinkham Notch. Um, they have this wonderful 3D map that shows you the terrain of that area, the presidentials. And then this is the last time that I was on Washington, with Colleen, who's on the call, and Kathy and our friend Janet that moved to Tennessee. So this was 21. Um, so again, the Washington thing, that was my 10th summit on Washington. Just because it seemed like fun. Let's go up Washington that day. No, I'm being facetious. Um, so some pictures from where we're gonna, the trail that we are going to go is we're going to be on the east side of Washington, and that's why we kind of do this so everybody understands the logistics of what's happening. Um, Mount Washington, the presidential range, is enormous, and if you get off on the wrong side of it, it's a big travel to get around to the other side. So the side that we're going to be on, the east side, is where Wildcat, Ski Resort is. It is not the side of the Cog Railway. No, different. That's the other side. Um, so these pictures are from, this is what the trail looks like when you're heading up from Pinkham Notch. That's when it's still cute. Once you get up to Hermit Lake, this is the bowl, and Tuckerman's Ravine is this thing above it, in the big bowl up here. This is the trail that's literally right behind Pinkham Notch and Joe Dodge Lodge. And down here, the smaller picture, this is the devastating three-story staircase that you have to climb. It's like you get up to the top of Tuckerman's, you're cool, you step onto the parking lot, you see some family with ice cream flip-flops in a minivan, you're hating them for driving up. Um, and then you have this three-story staircase that you have to climb up to then get closer to the summit. You're not there yet, but closer to it. So the next thing I've got, this is actually a shirt that I own. And if anybody's good at topographicals, this is showing the summit of Washington. And it also has some trail heads with trail distances. But what's important to note is that on a topographical, the farther apart the lines are, the lower the distance that you're going to climb. The tighter the lines, the steeper. So the steep kind of U-shaped thing that's at the bottom, that's Tuckerman's Ravine. So it's kind of straight up. It's a pretty steep climb once we get up out from Route 16 and Pinkham Notch. So the distance on this climb, it's 4.2 miles up, but it's also 4,000 feet up. So it's, you get some people that say, oh, it's shorter. That's cute. Well, we have to keep in mind the difference between New Hampshire miles and flat, like cute Connecticut miles. So this is kind of the overview. So hiking to the summit of Washington from Pinkham Notch up Tuckerman's Ravine. Parking for this hike will be at Pinkham Notch. And the trailhead is right behind Joe Dodge Lodge. And I'll give you more options as we go further out about where to stay. Now, from the summit, you can come down a couple of ways. My idea right now is to hike down Lion's Head. And I mean, it's a nice hike down. But if you get up there and you decide, woo, that was fun. Can I get a van ride down? You can do that. You can take the van down. But if you're thinking, I'm going to start collecting mountains, I'm going to start doing these lists that these crazy people talk about, you have to go up the mountain and down the mountain for it to count on the list. So if you take it up and take a van down, then you got to go back and go up in the van and we'll hike down. Logistically, you figure it out. But I've had friends that couldn't finish their 48 list because they didn't hike down. I mean, apples and oranges here. So this is a view of all the trails in that area. And like I said, we're coming from over here on this side and going up Pinkham into Tuckerman's. And then from there, we go up the boulder field to the summit. So for folks who aren't familiar with going up to New Hampshire, just to make sure that you're aware distance wise, the dot is kind of it's the Mount Washington area. All of that green area on that MapQuest looking map is going to be the White Mountain National State Park, and it's about, if you look at where like Springfield, Hartford is, it's about 4 hours to get up there. And I always say that it's required that you come up on Friday night. Now, you know how you want to do stuff. I've been in that boat too, where I drove up in the morning, hiked something, and had to drive straight home. I was helping somebody out with something. Is that my ideal situation? No. You probably want to come up Friday night, stay, do your hike Saturday. And then after that, it's up to you. Do you stay over a second night or do you head home? Usually we try to get together post hike. And that's, just to kind of debrief on everything. So that's kind of a work in progress right now. We'll just say that, because it also depends on like who starts hanging out together. If there's going to be an event afterwards. So I just gave you another map in here of Northeast high mountains. This also goes into New York. and shows you some of the peaks over there, which is part of the New England 111, which includes the Adirondacks and some of the Catskills. But again, just shows you distance. Like all the way up here at the top is Katahdin, and then all the way down here is Slide in the Catskills. So big area of a lot of big mountains in the Northeast. Okay, so lodging for the area. Um, so what is literally right there is what's called Joe Dodge Lodge. And Joe Dodge Lodge, it's lovely. I've stayed there many times. And everything in here that's blue, I put hyperlinks in. So anybody that looks at this, when you click on things, you'll be able to go right to the site. So outdoors.org is how you get to AMC. Joe Dodge Lodge is an AMC lodge. So you've got bunk rooms and you have rooms that are like for two people. You're always going to have a shared bathroom down the hallway. And I'm not sure if they're still dividing it up by men, women. They used to do that at some point. I think it's pretty much, you decide who you're rooming with, but the bunk rooms are single sex. So if they'll tell you like this is a female room, there's 6 beds if you want a bed in there. It is running about $155 a night. You do get breakfast and you do get dinner. Um, so it's dinner the first night you get there and breakfast in the morning. The breakfast thing might be a little bit of a problem because most of the places they don't start serving till 7. We want to be hiking at 7. So if people are going to stay there, that might be a conversation that you have when you get there about, hey, any chance you guys could open up 15 minutes early or something. Now, even though it's a great place and literally you're staying right there at the trailhead where you're going to go up and come down, the problem is that if you try to cancel less than 2 weeks, you do lose your room and your money. Um, some cases they will refund or give you a credit to use later in the season. I don't know. Anytime I've had to cancel in less than 2 weeks, I lost my money. You can try to sell your spot if something comes up within 2 weeks and you don't want to go. Um, and they generally don't cancel for weather. You can't say, oh, it's going to be a cruddy day up there. I don't want to go. We've hiked in a lot of yuck. So there'd have to be like a hurricane for them to even think about anything like that happening. So my my thinking is our closest town is going to be Gorham, and that's on the in the map there. Um, Gorham has not national hotels, but they do have there's the Madison Inn. There was something that used to be the Quality Inn and they changed the name of it. But there's also places. Plus there's the Notch Hostel up there. Um, so you've got some options. Here's my suggestion. Unless you're committed, this is like a done deal. Find somewhere that has a good cancellation policy that works for you. Okay. Again, as much as I mean, I love AMC lodging, huts, whatever. Um, you own it after short of 2 weeks. So you got to look at that and see how committed you are about this. But what I will suggest is that you get lodging sooner or later. I know it's March 1st we're coming up on. Um, I already have my lodging booked up there. So it's just July is a busy time of the year, and I'll explain what else is going on that weekend. Um, but if you even think you're interested in it and you find a place that like has 24-hour cancellation or whatever, go for it. Just book it if you can cancel it. Next thing for you is my list of what to bring. So this is kind of goes along with what AMC up there recommends. Plus we have, the 10 essentials that you should bring with you. Um, you always want to bring up at least 2 liters of water. This is going to be July, but it's going to be July in the mountains. I've been up there when it snowed in July. So that's going to be part of our gear stuff. But water, um, and when you do get to the summit of Washington, there's the most awesome cold water up there that's coming right out of the ground. So you can refill on your way down. At least 2,000 calories of food. So many people that I hike with, I'm not hungry. I don't eat breakfast. I'm not hungry on the trail. You need to just like munch like a hamster all day. You're probably going to burn about 5,000 calories doing this. Um, so that kind of like that runner's theory about like carbo loading the night before, it's not a bad idea. You need carbs while you hike, you need protein when you recover. The other thing that you absolutely positively need, I'm probably skipping ahead on here, is electrolytes and salt replacements, especially if we're going to have a warm day. And again, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what the temp's going to be that day. But electrolytes are almost as important as water if you're going to be sweaty. You need a raincoat. You need rain pants. You need a fleece top. You need an extra shirt. You need socks. You need a pack cover for your pack. Money with an identification. Well, it's just because there's like food at the summit and beer. I don't know how much you want to partake in. I'm just saying. Everybody absolutely needs to have a headlamp with good batteries. I've been the jerk that's had the dead batteries in the headlamp. So that has happened. Matches, a compass, and a map. Hopefully, you know how to use those things. A whistle, another pair of sock liners. There's my electrolytes and salt replacement, a first aid kit, sunglasses, sunblock, whatever your medications are, space blanket, multi-tool, pack towel or bandana, hiking poles. I know I get a lot of people push back on this. I don't use them. I don't need them. Um, if you can find a collapsible pair, like the ones that you can fold and they're about this long before you undo them, I would buy them and put them in your pack. We were just having this discussion about wilderness first aid, and they make a great splint for a broken leg or a broken arm. Not saying that's going to happen, just saying they're a good thing to have. And I've been with people that have hurt themselves coming down. Now they needed a pole because they tweaked a knee, they tweaked an ankle, and the pole helps them get down. Once we get above tree line, you're wide open. So a hat, a camera, insect repellent, closed cell pad, which means those accordion thingies. But Jen Brinker just turned me on to LL Bean makes an inflatable pad. It's only about this big in your pack, whereas those other ones are like a long thing. But it's about this big. You open it up, you open the valve, and you have a thing to sit on. Weighs about the same as the other thing, but I can't think of what the right name is for it. But LL Bean in Manchester had them for about $30. And then the other most important thing here for us is going to be a hike safe card. That's going to be required if you're going to cross state lines. And even if you're going to just do the training hikes, we do a training hike on Monadnock, which is southern New Hampshire. So everyone is absolutely required, if you're hanging with me, to buy a hike safe card. Absolutely. So we'll get to that. So hike safe cards. You get them through New Hampshire Fish and Game. They're $25. They are good from January 1st to December 31st, not from the day you buy them. It's basically an insurance card so that if you go out there and you slip on something and you need them to come carry you off a mountain, it's no charge as long as you weren't a knucklehead. Anytime they do a rescue, they write up a report about what happened. And if they find that you were unprepared, you know, if you showed up in shorts and a t-shirt, didn't read the weather, didn't have a backpack, walked right into a major storm, slipped on a rock and broke your leg, helicopter rides off of Mount Washington are $19,000 and they will charge you. So that's why we're going to be prepared when we go up there. We're bringing the hike safe cards because also our money goes to the their funds and then all the folks that are the volunteers that come out to help for rescues is what their fees go for. So that for me is required, and I will actually make you show it to me, especially when we go to Monadnock. All right. So when we go up there, the weather is the most variable and freaky thing. Um, these are the two sites that I use, and I watch them for 2 weeks before I'm going to do anything. So one of them is the high mountain forecast. This is the top one. So when I type into the search bar, I literally type in high mountain weather forecast and the mountain I want to go up. And you get this really cool map. And then below it, it shows you 7 days of what's going to happen. It shows you the temperature. It shows you the wind speeds. It shows you the wind chill. If it's going to have precipitation, it shows you how much is predicted. And then there's write-ups. It updates, I think it's every 7 hours. It'll show you up top and it'll say, so if you're like, geez, I see rain coming in and the time keeps shifting, updates again at 1 o'clock. Go to it 1:01 and it'll have the time for you. The other one that's spectacular is the Mount Washington Observatory. They're the weather guys in the Northeast. And when you summit, you can kind of go in and peek in and see a little bit about what they do because those guys are up there 24/7. They work 7 day shifts and stay up at the top, um, and basically just forecast the weather. And they love what they do so much. They are more than happy to show people all the gizmos and the gears. I went up one year and they actually took us up into the little spinny towers where they were collecting wind speeds and stuff. Um, so they really, really like what they do. Um, but those are my two weather sources. So always keep in mind, I say this about local hikes. I get so many people that cancel on like a rainy day. Well, it's rainy at your house, but I've probably watched the weather and I know at 10 o'clock where we're going is going to be
Okay.
clear. So I'm just saying it's more about kind of like where you're going. So just keep that in mind. Um, all right. So our trails in New Hampshire. Um, one of the biggest fallacies that people use is distance all the time, and people will you end up cursing the hike. This is just me being superstitious. If you say it's only a mile. Okay. Well, what's the elevation? So we've got that to contend with. So how much do we have to climb? How far do we have to go? And then if you look at the three pictures here, this is pretty much what a trail in New Hampshire looks like. Um, so the picture on the left is heading up to the summit of Mount Jefferson. The one in the middle is coming up Caps Ridge up Jefferson. And then the one on the right is if on top of the presidentials heading toward Clay and Washington. Um, so it's not cute. It's not paved. It's not shoveled. It's some pretty rigorous terrain. And my goal through the training hikes is to build people up from, what you're pretty comfortable with. And I mean, I'm not going to take you on a walk around the West Hartford Reservoir, right? But we're going to start working in conditions that are more challenging, conditions that are more rocky, that are uneven. Um, you'll end up getting that cool calf muscle on the front section on your shin if you hike a lot, which will make your ankles stronger. But it's one of those things like you've got to do it to do it. You can't just do this from the couch and have a fun day. You'll be miserable. I say that wholeheartedly because I did it in 2009. It was the most miserable day of my life. And I was like, I will never come to this place again. This place sucks. And going through the years and meeting other people who were interested up there and building myself up and training to do stuff. Now it's fun. Now I enjoy going up there. But initially I was like, what in the heck was I thinking? So that same weekend, and I pick this weekend every year because the Mount Washington Observatory runs an event called Seek the Peak. And it used to be, before COVID, exactly where we're hiking. So for about 7 years in a row, we hiked this same trail. And they have all kinds of great sponsors, everybody from EMS and Rob and let's see, the turkey farm. And I mean, they've got so many great people that support this. It's a fundraiser. Right now, if you wanted to give to it and get the cool shirt, it's $300 is the minimum amount. Now, saying that, you do not have to join Seek the Peak to come with me. Not at all. I'm just saying that is going on this weekend, but the new way that they do it, see how it says hike any peak, hike anything, do what you want. So you can go do yoga in your backyard and call it Seek the Peak if you want to help them raise money. So they're not holding it anymore in this location. But one thing that they do that's fun is at the bottom of the auto road, they have a vendor show that day, and Hart's Turkey Farm, which they have a restaurant in Meredith. Um, they come in and do turkey dinner. But again, you have to have raised a minimum of $300 to get to go to dinner and get entered for drawings and all this other stuff. But so there could be a lot of people there, and that's why if your goal is to stay at an AMC facility, you might want to book sooner than later because there are other people like me that are used to this date, this third weekend in July to go up there. So I'm just saying that's a thing. All right, so this is a list of training hikes, not necessarily in order, except that yes, Ragged Mountain would be an early one, and yes, Monadnock would be one right before we go. I am not going to offer all of these. Like Equinox in Vermont is a butt kicker. It's awesome. It's in Manchester, Vermont. Um, but it's a long drive. Uh, Breakneck Ridge, I'm probably not going to offer and take people out to New York to the Hudson River. Most of the rest of them I'm going to offer. Seven Sisters, we just did recently, but I will warn you when we do Seven Sisters again, we're doing as an out and back. We're not going to go ramble through the woods like we did this time. Um, Ascutney, we always do. Greylock, we always do. Bear Mountain, Connecticut. And what I did was in the past, I've written up like my version of what to expect and directions and stuff. These are all hyperlinks now to All Trails. They're probably my All Trails maps. Um, so when you use anybody who isn't using All Trails, I don't know if these will play for you if you're doing the free version. Um, if you are paying for All Trails, you can also follow me and see everything that I hike and look through my stuff if you want to do that. But like I said, this will get this all these hyperlinks will take you to All Trails, and All Trails will give you a description, um, the statistics on what you're doing. It'll link you to directions to get to the trailhead. It'll do all of that. So this is a really good list for what we do. Oops, sorry. What we do for training. So these are all, these are all locally ones. Um, Mount Tom will be out to the antennas. Sleeping Giant, there's a million different ways to do it. Allender, I've lied to people in the past and said it's 8 miles. It's fine. It's really like 13. Sorry about that. Because we need to do endurance, plus we need to do climbing, blah, blah, blah. We need to do all that stuff. Greylock, yep, always. Ascutney, we've got a fun way to go up Ascutney in Vermont. And then Monadnock, we're going to tackle Pumpelly. So that's going to be a 10, 11, 12 mile day that you're building up to. It's not like it's next weekend. All right. So you definitely want to, if you're a map person, the set on the left is the Mount Washington, I mean, not the Mount Washington, the New Hampshire maps from AMC. The book is excellent. We've used it as a resource forever and ever. The only thing that stinks is the maps that come with it aren't waterproof. And the first set I had, I kind of melted. Um, so if you go to the AMC site to buy maps, you will have to buy a set of maps that are waterproof, that are put on Tyvek, much more durable. This map is by a cartographer in Lincoln. I do have waterproof versions of that for $4. I'll start carrying them with me on my events. So if you want to buy one, you can do that. If you want me to send one to you, I can do that also. He's an awesome cartographer. He's got like so much stuff in the Northeast between Maine and New Hampshire. And on one side, it gives you all this really cool history and everything. And then it gives you maps of just that area. So this happens to be the Mount Washington one. Um, okay. This is where all the 4,000 footers are in New Hampshire. So we're going to be right up here in the middle of the presidentials um, in on Washington with all these other ones in a big old line down here.
Recording in progress.
Like I had said, one thing that is fine is I am more than happy to help you. Like if I know of a couple people that are going to travel with me, they've done Washington, they're like, I'm good. They still want to come because they're going to go hike something else. So if you indeed are interested in hiking something else, you want my advice, I'm happy to help you plan it or the logistics of it if you're on this quest. Um, if you just want to come up and do Washington, great. Add it to your list. Um, or like I said, if you've got another goal, like maybe you're doing Mont Blanc this year, or maybe you're going with Bill Rule to Sweden or something. You're like, I think I should do those training hikes. I think my life would be better. Um, you know, Sign on. It's all good. Um, and then I think my last one down here. So if you decide like, hey, so do you want to start documenting your stuff? I gave you a hyperlink to the AMC lists and then explain to you that when you go to this list, there's all these little titles at the top. Play around with it and click on everything. But right now, the way that they do these is by hand. So technically, the list system is on your honor. I mean, and people have lied. I've heard stories that they filled it out and made it look like, oh, it took me 3 years. They didn't hike a step. And somehow you always get found out because the hiking community out in New Hampshire is way too observant of what's going on and who's who um, for you to scam something like that. Someone's got to see you on a mountain. And if you do any of the Facebook groups too, you end up making friends with people. I made hiking partners with people that I met on Facebook hiking groups. I've met with them. We've hiked big stuff together and they became friends just because we had that shared goal. Um, but what I'm showing in the pictures is so to do you get a certificate. This was me last year getting my 67 at the ceremony. I like the ceremony. I think it's a blast. I like going and meeting everybody else who achieved the same goal that year. It's in Exeter, New Hampshire at their high school in April. It's April 26th this year if you happen to have finished the list. Um, and then you get a certificate. Then you can also submit slides they do a slideshow. So this was, you get to submit 3 slides. So this is me on top of um, West Peak on the Bigelows in Maine, which is where I finished my 67 and the awesome people that came with me to finish. And then I thought it'd be really cool to get tattoos. So I have tattoos on my ankles. I just always wear them hiking socks. You can never see them. And then I have my certificates framed. And then this is a really cool 3D map that you can buy through AMC, or you can buy it when you go to the Highland Center. Always has them. So that's what one of my hallways looks like in my house of all my accolades. But I would definitely like when you go here, control click. Let's see if it'll let me take. So it goes to this 4,000 footer page and it gives you all the lists that they do, right? And it'll give you a list. But if you go up here, like how to apply, annual meeting, blah, 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 it's really like lists and lists and lists of how to do this and what they accept for paperwork. So like if you go to the White Mountain 4,000 footer, here's the list over here. They're in order by height. So Washington, Adams, Jefferson, Monroe, Madison, Lafayette, those are your top 6. And then it goes all the way down to the shortest one, which is Tecumseh at 4,003. So it gives you a list. It also will give you it's like a sheet that you fill out, and it's kind of cool once you start filling out the sheet that you can as you start to fill it in, you're like, ooh, look, I'm filling it. It's almost like I remember my mom collecting green stamps when I was a kid. And the more green stamps you got, you're like, oh, I'm going to be able to get something now. This is going to be great. So that's the site that I'm taking you to, that if you decide that you do want to start collecting them. I mean, I know Colleen's been hiking with me for 6 years, and I've taken her on all kinds of crazy bud adventures of stuff that I needed. But now her lists are filled in from the 67, the 100 list, the just because I was like, hey, want to go hike like Katahdin with me, and all of a sudden that now that's off the list, or Hamlin or North Brother, or whatever. um so it's kind of a fun pursuit. Plus, if you do a list, then what ends up happening that's kind of cool is it gives you goals. Like, instead of just opening up the book or a map and like, where should I go hike in New Hampshire, like, do a list. And then once you read about it, either on All Trails or out of the book, then you can start making some decisions about what you think you want to try. So again, so for some people, maybe the Mount Washington thing is a little more badass than you want. Mount Hale, I'm trying to think of what's on that list. Hale, I'd have to look it up again, but like, which ones are they? Here's a bad word. Are the easiest 4,000 footers? Easy isn't a word that should be put in that category, but there are like there's like the top five ones to start with. If you're like, ooh, I don't know if I want to start with the big enchilada first. But I encourage everybody to at least come, train, see what you think, see when you meet different people that are also doing this. Um, maybe you make some connections with people that lead you down a completely other path. That's okay too. And like I said, I have people traveling with me this year who aren't going to do Washington. They're going to go do something else, but they want to be up there that weekend. So, you know, you can design you too. Um, Obviously, I've done Washington 10 times, but I'm willing to go up it again. I haven't been up Pinkham Notch since it's been a while, before COVID. Um, so I think it'll be fun to go up there and do that. Especially if you just want to prep for that. Um, and so I'm just going over here, Ruth. Yeah. So I have a job, so I hike on the weekends. I know my hikes are hard to get onto. Um, Once I kind of get this list of who's saying that they're going to be interested in doing it, I can kind of, bump you up if, you've shown up a couple of times. Um, and you're like, no, I really want to do this. And we'll just override my hike number. But even the ones, everything that I'm showing you on that list is a day hike with day travel. So, yeah, we've got a couple of them that are 2-hour car rides. It's an early morning, it's a late night. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, what's the highest bump we've got here in Connecticut? Bear Mountain at about 1,800 feet, 2,000 feet, whatever Bear Mountain is. So if you want to get good at this and climb, you got to drive to climb. Just just the dealio.
I think it can
Now, I have
sometimes
had
be
some
a
people,
10-hour a day commitment,
yeah,
for training.
absolutely. Yeah, and I have had some people when we do Greylock or Monadnock, some of the further ones up. Your situation is your situation, but I have people that drive up the night before and get a place to stay, or maybe somebody who's close. So you have to figure out anything that I've got on the list. I drive to back and forth to the same day. I am not adverse to driving far away. It's my deal. Um, but again, that's those long days are kind of what you're prepping for, just like the supplies that I'm asking you to carry. I know right now, if you just show up with a string pack and a bottle of Poland Springs, you're like, what in holy God's name is she making us carry all this stuff for? Because you have to. I mean, the goal is that you have to be able to stay out there overnight if something horrible happens. When you call for rescue, rescue is hours away, not 10 minutes. So all that stuff that's in there is to keep you safe. And you have to be able to take care of you. No one's going to give you their stuff out of their pack, because what if something happens to them? So you need to be responsible for you. So what I tell people to do is, a lot of the first question I usually get is, What size pack should I get? I'm serious about this. I say work it backwards. Start collecting the stuff on the list, lay it out in your bed, and then use the pack you have. Can you get it all in there, or do you think you need a bigger size pack? Um, I strongly recommend going to REI in West Hartford. If that's your deal. Where's our other one? Where does Sharon work? New Milford? I don't know where the other REI is.
I don't know.
Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
but
Milford. It's Milford on the
Milford,
Post Road. Yeah.
thank you. Because when you go in there, they will fit you. So they put weights inside the pack, they put it on you. Packs have sizes. So you just don't want to buy one off the rack. They're going to find you one, adjust it to you based on your torso length, based on your weight, depending on how big the straps are to get around you. So keep that in mind too. I do have a handful of women that hike with me that have to buy children's packs because they're such small people. Um, I generally use a men's pack just because I have a longer torso, but REI will help you with that for sure. But don't buy the pack first because a lot of those things on the list, some of them you can get at Walmart, like a whistle and a compass. Go to the camping section at Walmart. Um, that's a great place to buy that stuff. But start to assemble it and put it into the pack that you've got now. Because all of that stuff, you got to be able to carry it for 8 hours up a hill, down a hill. So that's what you're building up toward. Um, so once you start to assemble things, maybe the more serious you get about it, then you think about investing in a pack. It will be summertime, so anybody that likes bladder systems, which I'm a huge fan, the bladder bags with the hoses, it'll be summer, so those will be appropriate um, to use those. I carry one that's like 3 liters of fluid because I hate running out of water. I want to just drink, drink, drink all I want. Um, so that's another thing you can start adding to gear. But like I said, I mean, we're getting into March. I already have some stuff planned in March. Um, but probably end of March, beginning of April, I'll probably start that rotation. So it'll be Ragged, Macedonia, I'll just start doing those things in a row. And I've been kind of doing beginner hikes on Sundays, but I'm probably going to have to give that up and go to beginner hikes during the week as after work hikes because I just won't have enough time. I have big goals this summer. Going back to Baxter, the big giant ones. I got to go get one that's still on my list, and I've got friends that are working on their 67. So um, I got to go hike that big stuff. So I have some big stuff in Maine that I'm doing this summer. So I will be training right along with you to be able to do the endurance and the heavy, the heavy pack. I carry a heavy pack all the time. I mean, my words are always, you can't carry a heavy pack unless you carry a heavy pack. So just start. My thing is this. I laugh because over the years I've watched people do this in different ways. I have people put rocks in their pack, and I'm like, okay, you're not supposed to just dump rocks anywhere. Um, and how do you know if that's enough rocks or if it's too many rocks? Take water. Take a gallon of water weighs 8 pounds. So get a jug, not the ones with the flip tops. Get one that has a screw top. The flip top will open, it'll be a whole mess. Um, but put that 8 pounds in your pack. If it's too heavy, you can either drink it or dump it out. That's totally legit. But I've gone with people that have loaded up their pack with, I don't know, 40 pounds of rocks. I'm like, what are you doing? So just work your way up to it as far as carrying weight if it's not your jam. We're still in winter right now. I know it's melting around here, which is lovely. I'm going to New Hampshire this weekend, so we're still in snowshoes and microspikes. It's matter of fact, I think it's snowing up there right now. So we're still in winter conditions a little bit more, especially if the temps drop. So I'm still saying microspikes for the woods around here. We've needed them the last couple of weekends for sure. But it's been good training. The people who went with me said they really appreciated having to hike in microspikes because it's like walking in beach sand. like the whole distance. So people felt they had a good benefit from that. So if you can go clomp around in the snow, if you still have some near you, go do it. That's definitely a great way to start. And then the other thing everybody always asks me is if I'm doing a like a gym workout, okay, definitely look up online mountain hiking training. They're always going to want you to do lunges. They're always going to want you to do stairs. So any type of climbing and then climbing with your pack. So if you have stairs where you work, take the stairs, wear the pack. Um, the other thing too is if anybody's going to get boots, get them soon so they're nice and squishy and broken in before we want to use them this summer. We encountered some unfortunate people this fall, September, a guy with a group of friends, and I looked down and I was like, those look like new boots. He goes, yeah, I bought them yesterday. I was like, oh, jeepers. We ran into him later on and he had those boots off. I don't know how and he still had 2 miles to go to the trailhead. So
He
uh,
suffered.
yeah, he suffered bad that day because we leapfrogged with him and his buddies left him, which was pretty rude. But yeah, buy boots soon and start walking around in them if if you're just getting into this, and then work at stuff at your level, but challenge yourself. Like don't just keep hiking with the gratitude group that goes 2 miles on flat ground. If you've mastered that, cool. Pick something else. Climb a hill or join in on one of my things. But just remember timeline on this is that, we want to be good to go July 19th. Usually the weekend before that is when we do Monadnock. And Monadnock's a bear. That's not a cute hike. But we'll be ready for it. But that means, you know, end of March, like April 1st, you need to make a decision you're going to do this and start working toward it. You don't want to have a crappy day. You don't want to drive 4 hours and get a hotel and just be like, this is no fun. So that's why I put together all of this way back when I first started doing these. We just showed up that day and went, and I'd have people show up in Converse sneakers with a bottle of Poland Springs. And I realized I was like, we need to dial this back and get some people prepared to do this correctly. Um, so that was the impetus for all of this. All right. So if you have questions, you should be able to unmute yourself. I didn't think you did a mass muting. Um, if you want to ask me a question, like I said, I am going to post this YouTube link on the Mount Washington hike, just so it's all together, so that people can watch it whenever you want. You can go back and watch it whenever you want. Watch my slideshow thing. Take screenshots of what should be in your pack and my little baby mountain words of wisdom. You can also put notes in the comments if you want to do that. Hopefully, most people signed up. If you decide moving forward that you're like, you know what, I'm okay with, I think I want to do it. Just get in touch with me and we'll add you to the list. I just kind of like to know who I've got where, just for communication, just to do like big emails, dumps and things like that. If something's going on. I'm not a big fan of big giant group texts. Those make me crazy. Emails, I'll do a big thing, but texting, I'm like, not so much. Okay. And anything you feel like you need advice on, like if you want to go hike with the Sierra Club, is what they're doing appropriate? Is Connecticut, New York appropriate? Hudson Valley, any of those guys, Ramy, you know, um, just let me know. I'll give you an honest answer. As far as what I think I know. Um, and the same thing with lodging. If you start looking for lodging and you're like, have you ever stayed? I probably stayed in most of the places in Gorham. I probably rented Airbnbs, a few of them in Gorham. So um, Berlin is fine. Milan's a little farther out, doesn't have cute places to stay. But really, what you need to do is look at a map, right? Here's Mount Washington, here's Gorham. You know, I wouldn't recommend going to North Conway. Okay. North Conway is going to be like an hour and a half to get you to the trailhead. And hotels are really expensive there. I mean, all the name brands are there, but they're like $300 a night to stay there. I don't know what the rate anymore, Bill, is at the Starlight. We love the Starlight for many years. But again, it's a drive. If you're cool with that big of a drive, that's fine. But again, just remember we're on the east side of Mount Washington, not the Cog Railway side. You don't even go there. Don't go to Franconia. Don't go to Littleton. You're too far away. It's too big of a haul to get where you need to go. All right. So definitely please reach out to me. Also, you can also message me, like as opposed to leaving a comment down here,
I
unless
put
you
your
think it's a
email in the
question.
chat too, Janice.
Oh, look, there's my email in the chat. Yeah. So if you want a hyperlink on any of those, you guys will have to let me know because I've paid for All Trails for a long time. So I know that I can see everything. If you're doing the free version, I don't know if you can if the hyperlink will work and you can use it like that. I don't know what the free version gives you or doesn't give you. So, and like I said, if you are paying for it, follow me. Because you can just be nosy and pick around all my maps because I turn it on all the time anywhere I walk. All right. So if you need something else from me, please ask. If not, that's all I got about
Excuse me,
walking around New
Janice.
Hampshire. You are welcome.
Janice, I just had a couple quick questions if you're.
What you got?
Are all the training hikes that you're going to do, are those going to be on Saturdays or Sundays, or do you know? Are you
It'll be a mix of both days, depending on if I have anything interesting going on in my real life.
okay?
I don't have them set. I mean, usually the ones that if I have to travel, I usually do them on a Saturday. Sundays are, to me anyways, are for things that are a little bit less travel time or in state. But like Allender, Ascutney, Greylock, those will all be Saturdays.
Okay,
Just
yeah,
because
good,
they're like
because
a
I
2 hour
work
drive.
too. Yes, I think Saturdays. Yeah, it's okay. And when you share this, you're sharing that PowerPoint that will be shared actually. Is that what you meant?
Yeah, what I'm gonna do is once I stop the recording, I can make it a YouTube link, and I'm gonna put the YouTube link. So I posted the Mount Washington hike. Um, it'll be in the body of that. Will be a hyperlink that you can click on and rewatch this. So it'll be right there for everybody. And trust me, I chuckle every year. I'll probably get like 62 people that sign up for Mount Washington.
Wow.
Maybe 8 of you will show up. I don't know. It's always funny. Everybody's like, I'm gonna do it. I'm going this year, It's all good. I'll be at the trailhead at 7 o'clock behind, Colleen and I'll be standing there, coffee, 7 a.m. like whoever shows up.
And one last question. And did
Yeah.
you say like the first training hike that will be around end of March, April? Is that the time frame you were?
Yeah. Yeah, just so we can get a little bit more snow off the ground. And
Mhm.
I already have 2 things planned. 2 weekends already booked out in March. So those are already hikes that already have people on them. So this is kind of like if you're starting from square one and you're like, I think I want to get into this. I'm just getting, I don't have a ton of, I'm not saying if you have a ton of experience, please come, if you feel like you want to go through the process step by step. You certainly don't have to. You can jump around like a Mexican jumping bean if you want to. But I know Ben's on the call with us tonight. He runs awesome, really long hikes with great elevations. So anybody in the Sierra Club always has good stuff. But if you're, you know, newish to doing this, like you haven't done big distances, don't make yourself crazy and hurt yourself. Like do stuff that's like 3, 4, 5, 6 miles and start working your way up in April, like right now into end of April. And then we'll start doing the scary stuff. I mean, the fun stuff in like end of April, May.
Okay.
It's not scary. We don't do anything scary. Well, Colleen just should be. Colleen doesn't need to say anything.
They all sound scary in the write-up, but I know they're not.
Sometimes they're scary.
All right.
That's
So
all.
you're not planning any hikes for this group until like around 1st of April?
No, honey, there's already stuff in the books right now.
Oh, they are? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
what's
Mount
the eighth?
Everett,
Mount Everett? Mount Everett's a good one.
Mount Everett to Mount Race. That's
Yeah.
on the 8th. And then what I plan after that? There's something else the weekend after that.
Okay, I'll look it up then. Thanks.
And I may not do them in the order that's on there. Like the stuff that we do, there's a lot of things to me that are interchangeable, but I also want the ice to go away.
15th, Mount Tom.
Where am I going to 15th?
Mount Tom.
Mount Tom? Okay. If you say so. People do that to me all the time. They're like, where'd you go last weekend? I'm like, I don't remember.
I'll
It's not
verify.
Alzheimer's or anything. I just don't remember. Okay. Yeah, I know I have stuff up for a couple weekends in
Okay. All right, I will look it up.
yeah. And I always think it's easier to do. Oh yeah, no, we're going to Mount Holyoke Range. We're going across the street from Seven Sisters. So Mount Nanawaka and Horse Caves. And that's fun to do in the wintertime. So I like that one. I haven't done that in a long time.
Yeah.
So that's the one on the 15th. I am
Yeah.
co-leading, mentoring somebody who just went through leadership training on the 9th. So I'm supervising them on the 9th. And I think that's as far as I got into March. Like I said, I just want the ice to go away. That's kind of what I'm looking for. I kind of took a ditcher in a parking lot last week. So the orthopedic says my wrist is fractured. It's fine. I'm working through it. It's all good. So, I just want the ice to go away. Just saying. All right. Anybody else got anything that you super duper duper want to ask? Like it's on your brains? If not, like I said, please send me a message, either through Meetup, through my personal email. But definitely, even if you think you're a little bit, even just a little bit interested, you can always bail. I had probably 3 or 4 women who had never met each other last year. They're like, we're doing it. We're going to go to the New Hampshire hike. And about a month in, they're like, oh, this is kind of over our head. But here's what was cool. They all met each other. And now they go off and hike together. And they met on my training hikes and never went to New Hampshire. So it's a great place to connect with like-minded people. So
I have a quick question. So I'm sorry, I missed, where are you posting all of this other information? Like when these dates that you're saying on the 8th and stuff that you've already.
the meetup under Hartford
Oh,
area
okay, it's
hiking.
just right there. Oh, okay, alrighty.
It's right there. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys can see it or if we can only see it as organizers, but I always go into I like looking at a calendar, not a list. So when you go to events and you click calendar, you can go month by month and you can see. That's how I like to organize. So like I said, I've got the 8th and the 15th and the 9th booked right now. And that's as far as I got. I don't like to book out too far because then everybody gets crazy and they start booking yes, and then they forget, and then you're a no-show, and then you end up on my poo-poo list because you don't keep showing up because you forget that you marked you were coming and then you forgot, and then I don't like to give you too much lead time because you can't remember what you RSVP to, and then I got to bully you with other groups and tell you double booked, and I don't know why everybody does that. You can't go to 4 hikes on a Saturday. Just saying. You can try. Depends on the timing, though. I know. Somebody's doing 9 to 1. Someone's doing 2 to 7. You can do it, but that's a whole different logistics thing. All righty. So if you do not have anything else, you are welcome to head out and then just keep watching the meetup posts for me putting stuff up. Colleen will make a list for me of stuff, and people that were, like here tonight, if you want to send me a list, especially later on to say, no, I'm pretty much in, I'm gonna participate. What I'll try to do is make sure you find spots on the training hikes, especially the beginning ones, if you're not sure what your level is, if you're not sure what you need to do. So by virtue of being on the call and being on the list, then that'll be good. All right, anybody else I got over here? All right. Well, if you're good, I'm good.
Thanks, Janice. Very
You are
helpful.
welcome. Good to see you, Chris.
Thank you, Janice.
Thank
you guys on the trail.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Like,
Thank you,
You are so
Janice.
welcome.
Thanks for the presentation. It was good.
Oh, you're very welcome. Yep, like I said, you can watch it again if listen to me talk about hiking for an hour and a half. Woo! That's good
Yeah.
times.
Happy
Sure is.
buddy. Have a great weekend.
You too.
Thanks and bye.
Bye, Ben.
Bye, Ben.
See you, Janice. See you, Bill. See you, Suzanne. See you, Lynn. Who else do I know here? Oh, most of them. Have a good one.